Hello and welcome to today's episode of Inspirational Women in Travel Asia through Travel Daily series. My name is Michelle Gao. I'm the co-founder and committee member of IWTA, and I'm very honored to be here with Michelle Gao today, who is the regional manager of the Mekong for Booking.com. Michelle started her career with Booking.com quite a few years ago now in China as senior account manager and is now the regional manager based in Bangkok. Welcome, Michelle, to today, and thank you so much in advance for sharing your story. And I'm so curious because you have an amazing career with Booking.com and before Booking.com, other OTAs. So how does one start as an account manager and move into a regional manager role?
Hello, Michaela. Nice to be here, and really thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my stories and share my experience. So talking about my journeys in travel, I'm actually one of the first pioneers in China back in 2029, I think, during the Beijing Olympic times. And at that time, I still remember there's not many people in China have the passport even. You cannot imagine, like, there's very less people travel outside of China, and I'm one of the person who like to travel and being a very early adopter of travels around the world. That creates my passion, and that's where I go into travel industry and spending so many years in this industry. Seems quite a long time, but also there's a lot of changes has been happening over the last 15 years. And I start with the a senior account manager, which is a team lead role in Booking.com in Beijing. At that time, it was just Beijing opening the office. It's opening the first office of Booking.com in Beijing. And I remember I worked with a very small office with 5 people squeezing together and open up the market. And at that time, nobody knows about Booking.com in China. People knows about other travel companies, but nobody knows about Booking.com. So we will start our business over there. I'm really happy to be the pioneers in the market, like to really introducing the brand and open up the market. That really excites me. And then, so somehow the market expanded and my team expanded as well. So I'm also happy that, I grow into the role because the market expansion and we start to setting up different offices. The first one is in Beijing, then I start to office in Xi'an and also in Qingdao. And then I become area manager for North of China. And that's where I was all the time. I'm in China and never working or study outside of China. And suddenly there's opportunities comes and say, hey, there's actually a position of regional managers for in Mekong region. So I was a little bit uncertain because I never work outside of China. I don't know how the other, market looks like, and I don't know how the culture looks like. Even it's an Asian culture, but still for me, it's a little bit intimidating. So yeah, but I'm happy I'm bold enough, to take this opportunity and to go through the interviews and finally, I think my skills in terms of market development and also people manager has been helping me in terms of getting the role, and hence I'm here in Bangkok.
That's amazing. What a story. Now, you moved to Bangkok just at the start of COVID. What a great timing. So how did you get through, this very exciting new role, moving to a new city, a new country, and then the world closed down? How did you handle that situation?
Yeah, it was quite a story. I was talking to a lot of people about it. People was shocked, like, the first time I'm moving out of China and, a very different role and moving countries and then taking a bigger responsibility as a big career jump and coming from China where the COVID starts. And all this combination happens in 3 months time. And it was difficult. So in the beginning, I think everybody takes a big shock about, how fast the borders has been locked down and how big the impact to our travel industry. I think travel takes the first hit, the biggest hit, because basically once the border closed and also all this shutdown process there's no one travel. I remember the number just dropped to the bottom. Teams also not in a status that it's very anxious about this uncertainty and this how will be going to happen in the industry, how it's going to happen in the company, because when the company took the hit, there's going to be a lot of about a lot of situations around restructure, cutting down costs and cutting down people. So teams are also very anxious about it, including me. And I think one of the learnings through that, and also one of the things I continue to talk to the team, is about there are a lot of things we cannot control. So many things out there that we don't know exactly what will be happening, and we have absolutely no control of that. But what is important is what we can control, like how we can deal with the situation. So we were talking about, like, after talking to my team and after we continued to work through the situation, we decided to go into the things that we can control. Say, for example, recovery plan. We know for sure travel going to coming back. It's not going forever. So I think how do we deal with the recover is something we definitely can work on. When it's recover, what are the things we need to do? Second, people development. I think when the time goes, there's not much partner visit we need to do, then we're coming back to ourselves and say, hey, how do we learn things? How do we prepare us better in terms of skills, in terms of capabilities to be better facing the challenge in the future? So it's a good opportunity to do that. The third part we want to do is about engagement, because people are working from home. We don't have the vibe, everybody come to the office and then chit-chatting with each other, and then we need to also have a plan to engage people together. And this is really important. I think this is really something I'm so proud of myself doing. That is that even through this time, I keep the whole Mekong region very close together and support each other.
Yeah, I agree that virtual world just took a whole different meaning. And it was difficult in the beginning because humans, even if you like your own space, need other humans at times, to feel that connection. So yeah, I agree that virtual world was very challenging, but very important because it's all we could do during that time. So you talked a lot about, control what you can control. And I love that. And how you looked inwards, like, okay, we can now spend this time and focus on personal development. What did you choose for yourself? What was your personal development plan whilst the world stood still? What kind of skills did you enhance?
I love that question, because that is one thing I was also very proud of myself during the last 3 years in COVID. So I took a few initiatives. One is that I actually very passionate about coaching. So I learned coaching when I was in Booking, become a manager. And then I find it as a manager, telling people what to do usually don't work because they don't listen. People don't listen to you only because you are a manager. But through some of the coaching skills about, really understanding people, really asking, what do you think? And coming from their space can really help them to think about what would they like to do instead of what I would like them to do. So I'm very passionate about it, and also people's mindset and psychology. So I took a course of the coaching courses, and actually I spent more than 100 hours in terms of coaching, and I do get credit for the coaching certificate during this period of time. And so that is one thing I do. The other thing I'm also proud of myself is I have a passion also for piano. I never learned piano when I was a kid, which it's kind of a dip in my thing, and say, hey, I want to learn, but I never got the time to do that. So people of this age try to learn piano. It was fun. It was not easy, but I'm also happy that I took this, and then I can start planning a little bit.
That's amazing. Well done. Two very different things, coaching and then learning the piano. That's amazing. Yeah. And how well can you play piano today?
Small little stars, shiny little stars that I can do.
Yeah, good. And you must feel so proud of yourself because it's been a dream for so long.
Yes.
And now
I
you can
always
do it.
say, yeah, definitely go for your dreams, no matter how rare it is. But then you took this because it's for yourself to be happy, not for other people to listen or to be other people to praise. But it's really like I enjoying it as a person.
Mm, mm. I love that. Maybe you can show us one day how you can do a little show playing piano.
That would be another question.
Yeah. And so for your coaching certificate, what has been the biggest challenge implementing that in your role as a regional manager?
Yeah, I think as a manager, we always have two things, right? Like one thing is we need to execute, we need to lead people, we need to tell people what to do. And as a coach, then you kind of taking a step back and say, hey, what do you want to do? And how do you success in your life? So it's somewhere you might find it contradictory because it's two approach to lead a team. So that's where I have this challenge of, what are the situations I should use this and what are the situation I use to the other ones. So what I find it is more like if you have in a more of a wider scope, wider team engagement situation, then you always need to be inspiring, right? You do not have that possibility to be interactive to understand each one of them, but definitely take the step to say, hey, this is what I want and this is how we can go together as an inspiring approach. But whenever I have the opportunity to be in the one-to-one space, then I definitely go deeper into, okay, it's not about what I want now, because you always know what I want. I tell it in front of everybody. So now tell me what you want and tell me how can we align what I want with what you want together. It might not be alignment 100%, but how can we make sure that we align our needs together? Because we are working in this space, right? We always want to do what we want to do, and you will be suffering if you go out to the bed and say, hey, I'm hating what I do every day.
Very good. Yeah, good points there. Talking about alignment, what personal values do you have that you align with what you do in your role today? What's really important to you?
Yeah. I like this word called ikigai, a Japanese concept. So it's more about what you like, what you're good at, what you pay for, and what the society needs, what the community needs. So I always want to combine those things together and see what I do things that I want to do. So my personal likes is that definitely I need to have a choice and I will be responsible for my choice. That is what this also coming from when I was a coach. I have a choice and you also have a choice. People have choices to make. It's not right and wrong answer. You always have a choice to do what you want to do. But you also need to own your choice. If I choose to do this thing, if I choose to end my work, then I owning my choice and I will do the best of what I do. So that is the first thing. That's my personal value. The second one is transparency. So I can be perceived very direct, not like Asian culture, want to go through certain things. But I tend to consider, being transparent, being honest to people is very important because that can really help to avoid a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding in the relationship, no matter it's work relationship or personal relationship. That helps me a lot. And third things I always do is exploration. Always curious. I'm a person like a curious baby that always want to look into different things and checking on different opportunities out there, and learning different things. So those are the things important to me, and I do incorporate all this in my work.
You mentioned curiosity, and I was thinking about what we talked about earlier on, how Booking.com was brand new to China. So it might have been your curiosity at that point that, oh, this is something new. I'm going to jump on this and just see what happens. I'm very curious to see how I can make this work. So that's quite a big risk to take, right? Because it's a new business in a new market. What was it that made you leap into something that unknown?
I think definitely from that curiosity part, I really want to know. I'm not afraid of fail because I know that when I took an extra step, it might be fail or it might be success. And people, there's a lot of changes. People are afraid because those uncertainties and those unpredictable results. People want to have a certainty in the future so that they want to, go ahead, do that, but which is not happening in the career. It doesn't happen at all. So that's what I took because I want to learn, I want to know, and even I fail, the process of learning is an also invaluable experience. Then I know what I can do and what I cannot, or what I like to do, why not like to do. So that helps me to overcome those fear of uncertainty and to be okay with it.
Clearly it worked out because there was growth for Booking.com into different cities. So well done. That's fantastic. And then the whole move, from a market, from a place you were born, from a place where you grew up, to a different city, different country, different market. And I think there's a lot of us that might have that dream of working for a global company, or wouldn't it be exciting to move to a different place to explore and experience work life there? How did you take that leap from the known to the unknown and moved yourself to Thailand?
Yeah, so that's where I think it's important to be bold. I can take also the examples that when I was in travel, when I was not in travel industry, even I worked for a government. And then at that time in China, government is a dream job. What we call is iron rice bowl, means that once you get a job, you get it forever. The government will support you for life. And that's where, when I choose to quit that job, I was facing a lot of questions from my family, from my friends, and say, hey, why do you do that? You have the dream job ever. And what have you think about if you fail in the next role in your career and you cannot find a job, how much you would regret to quit that job? And I think that's where go back to my ikigai. Like, you need to also do what you love. I want to do what I love. I want to do what I'm good at, and I also want to have some meanings of my life. And that's where I took the leap. I took that risk. This happens with me taking the leap from government to the to private sector. It comes to the leap of what I coming from China and going outside of China. It's not common, but I would say it's definitely worth the efforts and worth the risk.
Yeah, you never know till you try, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned something there that I think it's really important and quite a consistent trend that comes through in some of these stories. That society or people around us, from normally family and friends, obviously they come from a good place because they love you and they want the best for you. There's a lot of people and influence around you that tells you what you should do, who you should be, what you should say, how you should dress, how you should look, what you should do. What advice would you have to other women and men listening to this interview that might have that pressure from people around them all the time? So, but they have other dreams. What advice do you have to them to take the leap? What advice?
Yeah, it comes back. I know it's definitely, I still get questions to me and say, hey, why do you do that, and why you behave this way? And I guess there's a lot of common perceptions of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to behave. What I will share, what I share to a lot of my peers and my colleagues is that you always have a choice. Remember, you always have a choice. If you choose to follow what the other people think you should do, it's also your choice. You can also choose to what you really want to do, and that's your choices, and nobody can nobody can choose for you. Basically, if you choose to follow what other people choose for you, then you give up your choice. You do choose what other people choose for you, and then you also take the ownership of what is happening afterwards. But then if you choose to do whatever you want to do, you also took the ownership to say, hey, this is what I choose, no matter it's good or bad, I take it and I learn from it. And that gives you a lot of freedom to think what I should do, what I should do. Just say, hey, what I choose, I do. And that helps me in those kind of decisions. And I also suggest to people and say, hey, do you have the choices? Always remember, no matter what the others people talk to you, no matter what the outside environments are, you always have this choice. Don't say, hey, people made me to this. No, nobody will make you to do it unless you choose to do so.
So true. And it's just life, right? You're always going to have people that have an opinion of your choices, no matter what.
Yeah.
I love Ikigai because I think, in my opinion, I think work is part of life, and you might as well be happy with work because that means you have a happy life. I would not enjoy waking up in the morning and going to work something that I don't like doing, because that's 8 hours of my day every day, 20 working days, or more for some people a month. I rather see it as a good life where I go to work with a purpose. I love what I do because that makes me happy. And if I'm happy at work, I show up at home as my best self, as my happy self.
Yeah.
Vice versa, if I'm happy in outside of work, I show up to work as my best self. So I think it's not I don't know, like back in the days, I used to hear work-life balance a lot, but it's not work-life balance. It's just life balance. And you might as well find something that's aligned to what you want to do and what you feel your purpose is.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. So that's a great lesson there. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
What has been,
Sorry, just
sorry.
to add, it's all about, I like what you were talking about work-life balance and also life balance. I like also the life balance in terms of how you describe it. It's definitely about incorporating things, right? Don't separating life, work, because you have your passion. Then maybe directing yourself about through your passion. Then your passion leads you to your work. Your passion leads to your life, and that you will have a good balance of, have all the energies that doing what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so much. If you look at a wheel of life, when you can kind of score yourself in the balance of life, like family, friends, career,
Development,
exercise, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot of aspects to it. So you might not score 10 in all of them. But for me, work is one that you spend more time at work than you do at home normally, with the people you work with the kind of work that you do. So you might as well make it something that you really love because of that time.
And also how you learn things, right? And people will talk about, oh, I need to learn things. I need to take studies, outside of work. I would say, no, actually all the learnings happening during your work. Like you learn the most while you do stuff, and don't separate that out. Yeah.
Yeah, through experience. That's absolutely right. Now, what has been, if you could choose one of your proudest moments throughout your career, what has been one of your proudest moments?
I think still people. I'm a very people-centric leader or manager in that sense, because I do want my team to be success, and I do take their success as a proud, as even bigger proud than what success that I have. So there's one time I remember some of my team, one of my team members, and come to me and say, hey, Michelle, I think you just broaden my thinking, and I do think from different perspective now. And for that I have learned so much, this and that. So that is the moment I feel like I'm so fulfilled, like, this is my meaning of life, because I do make an impact to people and how they're thinking. I don't want to, say that, they will be changing, to the best forever, but at least at that moment of time, I can help people to think differently, and that makes biggest impact to myself. And I'm so proud of, what I have achieved at that moment.
Nice. Thank you. Something to be very proud of, for sure.
That's
If
also, I
you,
think, what I like what you did. I think all these inspiring stories also can take people to think differently.
yeah, to learn from others. Yeah. I hope so too. That's the purpose of this, is to expand thinking, or help people feel like they can take the leap into something unknown, or whatever it is about that story that inspires them. That is absolutely the purpose of these stories. And your story is another amazing one that we will have the honor to publish on the website. If you could go back in time and give yourself some advice to your younger Michelle, what advice would you give yourself?
Two things. One is definitely be able to learn more starting from the younger age. I think I learned this. I learned this in a very hard way. That when I start, my job, I actually have the opportunity to go through MBA program supported by the company, and I do took that opportunity. But at that time, I think my only purpose is to get a degree and say, how the degree is going to help me, whatever in my career. And I do regret, if I get a second chance, I will take the opportunity to really learn things, and really to through these learnings to really see how can I apply the learnings in my work, or in my time, because I feel like in that differentiates me with other people, or differentiates people by people, is how quick they learn and how fast they can apply learnings into their daily work or daily life. So that is one definitely things I want younger myself to know. The second thing is about prioritization. So many things. I think even now with the kids, or with the younger generation, there's so many new opportunities, new things that is happening. When I was young, I also facing the similar situation. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I spend 10 hours at work because I just cannot finish it, because there's so many things I want to do. And that put me in a very bad situation, that I just get lost. I feel like I do a lot of things, but I feel like I don't have any achievements in a certain sense. So if I want to give suggestion to my younger myself, the other suggestion would be prioritize. Do what you like the most. I know you like 10 things, shorten it to 3. Shorten it, and do keep track of what you like the most, because you can easily get distracted by other things if you don't do that.
So true. And the world moves so fast these days. I can't keep up either. So lots of changes happening every second of the day. Yeah.
The foremost, right? Really keep you like, oh, do I miss this? Do I miss that?
Yeah.
But the moment that you look into those things, you actually lost what your focus are, or what your passions is.
Mm.
And that is that I still not perfect in that. I still also do a lot of distractions nowadays, like ChatGPT or whatever. But still, I do have time to come back to myself and review and say, hey, what is my current situation? It's okay to get distracted, but just remember to coming back.
Yeah. I think that part, everyone gets sidetracked or distracted at times. I think it's just human nature. We do, with so many things going on in life and at work and in general the world. But take a moment to yourself and realigning to what your purpose is might help to kind of shape that focus. But these things are not important to that, so I'm going to do these 3 things instead. Yeah, you're right. It'd be great if we had more arms, more brains in one body, but it's not reality.
No,
Yeah.
have to face that reality.
Yeah. So the future, Michelle, you talk a lot about learnings. So what would you like to learn in the future?
I definitely will be. So one of the things is about curiosity explorations, right? So I will still continue to explore the, different market and different culture. That is one of my passions are, if I can look into different, if I can also get to learn how different culture works and how can I, go adapting to different culture in that sense, that will be, one of my learning points. And the other things is definitely, again, back to the supporting people to grow. I think there's still quite a lot there to learn about, how I can best helping people to become more realizing themselves or more achieving what they want to be. And that's where I will still need a lot of practice in helping people.
That's great. Practice makes perfect. Or as to say, progression. I don't believe in perfect, it's all about progression. Yeah. So you have the great opportunity because you're working with people, you can keep practicing your coaching skills and keep setting those goals for yourself. I think you're in a great space where you can do that every day as well. Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing such great lessons and your knowledge and your experience that you've had in Asia so far and your career experience. Really enjoyed this chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.